Hey guys, welcome back. Got a little Christmas rhythm going on, and I'm excited about being back with you today.
Is that what that is? That's Christmas rhythm?
It's like a jam, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like this one. Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to get into the news that's the news across the Meade County nation. We've got some interesting facts and quotes and things to talk about that are kind of important, and a couple of updates about what's going to be happening locally.
Yep.
Earlene, you did a great job on the paper again this week.
Thank you. I thought yesterday when Nancy and I were closing it out, I said, Nancy, this is a good-looking paper.
Yeah, I said the same. Well, of course, there was a lot of work that went in over the weekend, and we're getting ready to actually spit out 2 more papers because we're not going to miss the first paper again this year.
No, we're not.
We're not going to make that same mistake twice. Wanted to get into our sponsors before we begin the show. I want to send a shout out to Ray's Ford for sponsoring this week's episode yet again. He's on board with us for the next 3 months, and the reason why is because it's that time of year. You think, hey, I need that old clunker gone. Put a wreath on the car and set it out in the yard for your significant other to enjoy a new vehicle this year. But if you're going to go down there, talk to Keith for all your purchasing needs. They've got a great lineup between Ford, Dodge, and Jeep, and many other vehicles. So if you're looking for a truck or a Bronco or a Jeep Wrangler, you can get it. I also want to thank Joe Redmond for sponsoring this week's episode. You can reach Joe at 270-668-2858 for all your landscaping and home improvement projects around the house. Joe is a do-it-yourselfer kind of guy, and he can help you get that long-term project underway. So give Joe a call at 270-668-2858 for all of your landscaping or home improvement project needs. Also, welcoming back to the area, the Lakeside Bar and Grill has opened up, and it's opened up by Terry Woobry and family and friends. They're actually doing catering and all kinds of stuff, and you don't need to have a pass to get in the gate because after 5 it opens up and you can have dinner at the Lakeside Bar and Grill.
Yep.
They have, you can reach out to them at 270-422-3981. They've got catering information and also what's up on the plate for those evenings.
Can I say something about that?
Go right ahead.
All right, so tomorrow night, Terry and her people are going to host a kids' night. And so on Wednesday nights, kids eat free anyway. If they're with a parent who purchases a meal, kids get to eat free. So tomorrow night, kids can come in, pay $5, eat free if they're with their parents or any other adult who is purchasing a meal, and then they can make their own. They're having a craft night. They're going to make their own ornaments, and they're going to get Hoobree's ice cream.
Oh, wow.
And that Hoobree's ice cream truck that ran around all summer selling ice cream everywhere.
Oh, my goodness. And our last sponsor is Pollux Appliance. You can get to Pollux Appliance. They've got everything you need in store and more. And if they can't and don't have it, they can get it. And if you've got an old appliance and you just still love it, they also do appliance repair. You can call them out and have them service any of your appliance needs right there in your home without having to do a whole new startup. But if you were looking for a new startup, you don't have to go far. You can go right to Pollux Appliance right here in Brandenburg, Kentucky. Well, Earlene, getting into this week's segment, there's a lot of things that we do have coming up. I know tomorrow is going to be an interesting podcast. I'm not going to get into that yet. I'll tell you a little bit more about it. But there will be you've got Representative Nancy Tate. You've got Senator Stephen Meredith. We'll have some folks from the Kentucky Commonwealth of Kentucky Policy Center will be on. And there is a big lawsuit where they're suing the state over their ability to have an abortion or inability to have an abortion. And so I'll be showcasing a little bit more of that information. But locally, there's been a lot of stir on some things building up to Christmas and things. And you kind of captured some of that in the paper this week.
Which thing do you want me to start with?
You start with whichever one is hitting your heart the most.
Well, actually, I'm not anticipating a big stir going on right now. We're not having a whole lot of feedback that is a pushback type
No,
of
no, I didn't mean a stir.
you mean
like,
exciting?
yeah,
stir.
a stir.
I wasn't
like
quite
when
sure.
Santa Claus.
Sometimes I'm
all
just
the
not
kids
quite
wear a
sure where you're
stir
coming from.
no, all the kids wear a stir because Santa Claus was it.
Yeah,
Anyway.
that's right. That's right. So Santa's been running around. The Grinch has been running around a lot.
Really?
Yes, he has. He's been making appearances at places, and kids are loving that. We've got a great Grinch.
We had Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus stop in the office.
We
this
did
week.
yesterday. They were here yesterday.
My kids were like, "I don't believe you."
Did you show them picture?
I did.
Picture it didn't happen.
I
yeah,
know.
yeah. So, this past weekend out at West Point, they had River of Life Church had a living nativity scene.
Right.
And I've always really enjoyed that. I think it's always so fun to get to go and see the reenactment of the Christ child's birth, especially the ones who make it a really big deal, and they have the animals there and everything. When I lived in Abilene, Texas, there was a church that did it every year, and every year it was one of our traditions to go and look at that. So that was a great thing, and we're having a story written up about it, and
Good.
Anastasia is going to go into a little bit more detail about what their plans are moving forward. So we've got that. One of the fun stories that's coming out this week is it was written by Tammy Beasley, and it's about vintage toys and how some of those toys kids are still asking for. Things like Barbie and Hot Wheels and
Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Rock'em Sock'em Robots is
Shut
on there.
up.
No, I'm not even kidding. Did you have one of those?
I did.
Yeah.
Liam and Landon got one a couple of years ago,
And they said that it's virtually unchanged.
Yeah,
that one is
100%.
Yeah, Barbie has definitely changed. Radio flyer wagons, they've changed over the years.
Well, the rubber's gotten better.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. But like one of the things that she touched base on was those, I don't know if it was Betsy Wetsy or Wetsy Betsy doll.
Betsy Wetsy.
It was called Betsy Wetsy, yeah. So about how popular it was, and it's pretty much died out. Kids don't want to deal with all that anymore. So that's pretty fun. You guys could do that. I want to go ahead for just a second. I apologize to you guys. I've just come back from seeing the doctor. I have nothing big contagious or anything like that, but I do have that crud that comes, that just makes our voices sound funny and kind of makes us hack a little bit.
Forehead hurt, ears hurt.
Yeah, all of that. And it's not even because of my job. It's just because of what's going on. But I got
it might be a little bit to do with your boss is kind of crazy.
Hey, I like my boss. So one of the things that I put in the queue last night to be printed next week is I went back through and did the Messenger Kentucky Year in Review.
Yep.
And it was quite entailed to go back through and to find 2, 3, or 4 things from each month of the year and pop it in a way that just
we had so much to cover this year.
We really did.
It was the 50th anniversary of the tornado. We've had the fair relationship back this year, unfettered access to that operation and being able to provide coverage. Just lots of new beginnings with Reach going into some Fort Knox activities it's a lot of information.
Right. And then I included some stuff that was like from you, because I noticed when I was going back through things that you did a 6-month publisher's update, and so I thought, well, this is appropriate to have the things that you sent to me.
Yeah.
I'm going to have that as a publisher's 12-month update.
Yeah.
And so people can pick that up and look at it. It'll probably be the first. It'll be out the January 3rd. Yeah. I think
if I was to look back and just make a comment, because you just can't put it all in text in the newspaper. If I was going to say anything about what we've done with the Messenger, and while many people might not like what we've done, they just don't see the outcome yet. But a lot of it is the awareness that we've brought to Meade County because we started communicating beyond Meade County.
Right.
And if you go back in the history, which we had an awesome opportunity going back through old newspapers, and I mean old, like 100-year-old newspapers. Yeah. But in one of the original advertisements or billboards for the Messenger, it was called A Long Letter Far from Home. Yeah. And for Far From Home, or it's for all those individuals that have, left Meade County, but they grew up here. And a lot of that happens today. In fact, it was in the news today about the repeat of farming businesses. They're handed down generation after generation. But if you look in our paper and you look at the auction sites, there's a lot of these farms that are going up for auction, and the kids are just not returning back to carry on that tradition. And in fact, a lot of the farms that are in Meade County are leased out to the farmers that are running them.
Or they've had to find a new way to make it profitable to keep that family land.
Yeah, what used to be tobacco is now being farmed as something different, or, but I know had a great opportunity to ride in a combine this summer. It was awesome. Thank you, Billy Sipes, and your dad. Just amazing. We got to go out and we were combining beans and picking those up. It's quite the experience, and it was very enjoying and relaxing. I could do that every day, but I don't get to do that every day. But seeing the work that goes into that, and the turnover and the conservation of the land that they do just to make sure that they don't destroy the soil, and refurbishing crops, whether it be wheat or corn or beans or soybeans and stuff. It's just, there's a lot that goes into it.
Well, there's so much more science now.
Yes.
Agricultural science that goes into having a successful farm.
That's right. In fact, this year we reported on the guy that had the highest producing yield corn crop. Remember that in the beginning of the year? And that was in Meade County for the entire nation.
Yep. It was. One of the things I was going to say to you, you touched base a while ago about, pardon me, things that have changed and the feedback we've gotten. And yes, it's true. When I think about the first year of us having the Messenger Kentucky, like some of it, there were days that it was just so hard. There were days that were just so hard, and we'd think, oh my gosh, what are we doing? And it's always difficult whenever you struggle to do something new. But when you're struggling to do something new and you're having to clean up some of the things that were left on top of it at the same time, it's really difficult. And so this morning I popped onto our Facebook page and because today is Meade County's birthday. So I popped on there and I said, "Happy birthday, Meade County!"
Yeah.
And while I was there, I just went ahead and every once in a while I'll just peruse through it, and there was a comment made by a fella in November, just like the end of November, and he said, "I appreciate the direction that you guys are taking this newspaper."
That's like our report card, right?
Yeah, it made me feel pretty happy, and I did like that because some people are getting it, and the feedback that I'm getting, like if I go to the grocery store or if I'm at a gathering. I was at a gathering this past.
Are you
weekend.
the newspaper girl? Is that what they say?
Yeah, they'll say, "Hey, we like what's going on over there. Since you came in, we appreciate that." Yeah. And so I give feedback, but also listen.
Yeah.
One of the things we do is we invite people to tell us their feedback. Now, I don't invite people to hammer on me or to insult me or to treat me badly.
Constructive feedback.
I definitely want that feedback, and we're doing it, and we're just going to get better at doing it as time moves forward.
Yeah.
So, but for the most part, I think people see our hearts and they see our integrity and they see our sincereness in where we're headed. Like, we might not get there for another couple of years, but we're headed in the right direction. Yeah,
I don't disagree. I mean, it is a lot of work. For advertising, I know we've gone leaps and bounds as far as being able to communicate a product to the community and beyond the borders and communicate the small businesses that are here, but moreover our nonprofits that are supporting the community and the activities that they're doing. I think we've done a great job of that too. So I'm looking forward to the year in review, and hopefully you are too. You can pick up a newspaper at newsstands everywhere, or you could subscribe. You can go to themessengerky.com and you can subscribe online. Anybody that has a newspaper subscription, you can also access the online e-edition. If you would just like the e-edition only, you can subscribe for that online as well. If you have the newspaper but don't have the e-edition, you can contact us and we can update you with the ability to log in and access
Jaden is anxiously awaiting for you to call her, and she will talk you through the process of getting that done.
Speaking of calling in, so we do check our messages, contrary to popular belief, but there is an automation process, and if you press 1, it goes straight to Jaden every time. So when you call the number, press 1. If you need to speak to advertising or stuff, that's 3. That's Nancy, and then of course you can get in touch with Earlene at pressing 2 on there, and then it goes straight to the editor. We do check the voicemail, so you can always contact us. You can also message us on the website or by emailing admin@themessengerky.com for your thoughts.
And I like to answer the phone. Like anytime I have the opportunity, if it's ringing and I see that the other people in the office are busy, I love to answer the phone. I like to hear from people, and they'll tell me what's going on, or every once in a while I'll get somebody who's mad about something else and they want me to check it out and they want me to write about it. And I'm like, well, sir or ma'am, I can't do that, but I will listen to what you have to say right now.
Right, yeah.
So one of the things I wanted to touch base on, I know that you wanted to say something about this, and let me just share this and then you can jump right into it. You'll see where I'm going. So I did have someone this past weekend. I was at a get-together over at Doe Valley, and someone said, hey, I love the community calendar, yada, yada, yada. It's so great. I've been picking it up, and it just tells me all these. I just never realized we had so many things to do. Then they also said, how come you post the AA meetings in there? And so I was like, well, a lot of people don't know that AA is available here. It's available in Brandenburg. It's available in Vine Grove, Flaherty. There's a lot of little pockets of places that it can be. Now, I've been a member of the Al-Anon family groups for 17 years. And Al-Anon is a little bit different than AA, but not. It's just that Al-Anon are the people that support the addicts or that live with addicts or have a problem with it. So one of the things that I want to make sure that people know, that studies have shown that between the months of November and the first day of February is the time of the year that more people reach out for a 12-step program than any other time of the year. And I do think it's because of the holidays. Yeah. I think people get to Thanksgiving, they get to Christmas, they get to the New Year, and they start self-reflecting, and they realize, I may have a problem. Yeah. I may need to do something. And the people who don't have a problem, that are living with someone, they may think, well, my life feels like it's out of control. What can I do to take better care of myself while I'm, loving my alcoholic? And so this is a great time for you guys to reach out for that if you've ever considered it. Because really, all you got to do is show up. I showed up 17 years ago. I was scared to death, but it was the best thing I ever did, and it really supported me as I made my way through that previous time in my life. And then you were at I was having that conversation with someone at a Christmas get-together. Yeah. You were over at the roller skating rink.
I was a roller skating fool. I got some rubber legs, according to the folks that are there.
I bet you do. I've seen you dance.
So what was interesting is that between Hardin County and Meade County, there was over 150 people that were there. And to your point about alcoholism, drug addiction, alcoholism, it is a bigger problem than you think.
It really is.
It's
a silent problem.
People
don't want to share that they're living in it.
Except for the children that have to live it.
Yeah.
And at that foster care event, I could tell you that 98% of those kids, and that's a pretty close number, that's the Stephen Lake math of things, but according to the information of those that are working with the DCBS, they're all from either alcohol or drug addiction problems, mostly drug addiction, but alcoholism plays. And if you were to call the local law enforcement, most of the domestic violence cases involve alcohol or drugs in the local community. It's not like you come home and a husband just naturally wants to beat the crap out of his wife or the wife vice versa. It's because there's usually some form of alcohol involved or mental health problem involved. But at the end of the day, that foster event, the number of youth, let's just put it this way, we do not have enough foster parents to take on all of the children that need a stable environment in which they can grow up in. And what's really sad is a lot of them can't end up in or won't end up in kinship care, because the problem is legacy generating. So so you've got teenagers or multiple children, 2-3 kids that can't even stay together, because there's not a strong enough commitment or enough foster homes. And we're not just talking, I think they called it concurrent home, which means that that's a placement where if parents' rights are removed, you could end up being able to take them on long term, all the way until their adult life.
And some people have said that. Some people have said, I can't put myself out there for foster care because I won't be able to send the kid back. Once I have a child and I care for them and I start falling in love with them, I want to keep them. So there's a special mindset that has to be in play if you're doing temporary foster care. If you're fostering to adopt, there's programs for that.
100%. And it's not as expensive as you would think in the process. But there are several families that are in Meade County actually, there's not. I should say there's 7 families in Meade County that help foster. But 7 is not even close to...
7? There's only 7 families in Meade County that are certified foster homes? I had no idea.
Yeah. Now, Calandra works the Meade County area and portions of Hardin County and Ratcliffe and stuff. And Calandra is just amazing. Her picture is in that group photo that I put in the newspaper. So you want to check it out. I put all of their information in the article, and it'll also pop up online and on social media once we get that rolling out this week. But I would tell you that if you are... And Vicki and I have gone through this, and we're kinship care, but... we've had conversations about fostering more children, and it was sad because Landon's like, I don't want you to love somebody more than you love us, and because they're in a
he needs that.
And I get it because he knows we're stable, right? But there's other kids out there, and I think once we had him and Liam out there, just to hey, don't forget where you came from, kind of thing. They were like, I'm so glad we went. They were very appreciative of that experience. Plus, they got to see Santa Claus, so it was very cool.
I mean, that's always a plus.
He's been bouncing around a lot.
Anytime you can see Santa Claus, it is a good thing. Yeah, we've had a lot of, we've had a lot of good Christmas festivities here in Brandenburg and in Meade County this year.
Yes.
There really has. There's been a lot of reaching out, a lot of good cheer that has been going on, goodwill meant for each other. I mean, we, as a whole, as our community as a whole, we've done a really good job. There's still things that we fuss and fight about, like the taxes, and things like that, that has sent people over the edge. And if you spend too much time on social media, you can always come across something that
easy to cherry pick.
Just having a cow over. But for the most part, in my experience, and when I float between the Messenger and Doe Valley, and we've got lots of other things going on in our lives, it seems like most people are just wanting to extend that goodness, that small town. Hey, I'm glad to know you. What can I do for you? How can I support you? Why don't you come over and get a cup of coffee? We've got a lot of that going on here.
Love it.
Yeah, which is one of the reasons that Eddie and I are very glad that we came back home.
Yeah.
We're a couple that did come back home. We could have gone anywhere. He pretty much had an open slate where he could have just said, oh, we'll go live wherever. And we came back to Kentucky, which was at first a little bit difficult for both of us just because of our backgrounds, but it has ended up being the best thing that could have happened. We're very happy that we're here.
That's good. Well, I'm glad you're here. One, I love playing golf with Eddie, and 2, you're okay to hang around.
Yeah, I'm okay.
On a daily
yeah,
it's all right.
You keep being.
Yeah.
No, I do have to tease you a little bit about something.
Uh-oh.
I know. So I noticed this last week, and I meant to say something, but we were really focused on the tax situation. But then you said it again today. Husbands, do not, under any circumstances, go over to Ray's Ford and buy a vehicle for your wife without her knowledge. Just don't do it. Yes, go there.
What?
Go buy it. I would kill Eddie Bohannon if he surprised me with
a brand new.
Yeah, no.
Why not?
No, because
I'm going to get Ray in here to have this argument.
No, I mean, I guess if he had like an extra $40,000 or $50,000 and he could just plunk it down and pay cash.
Yeah, I got
But if he's got to go and finance something, and then we're going to have that finance for the next several years, that's not a present. I mean, I would be happy about it, and I would go right with him and sign on the dotted line and get one. I want to get one. But listen, guys, don't do that.
So glad you brought it up because our sponsors for today are Ray's Ford. I just want to make sure.
Chris, I love you.
Yeah. But Keith is the one that's. I worked with.
I love him too.
Yeah. So Chris is awesome. Ray is awesome. They have an amazing staff there. But what I love most about Ray's Ford is that they've got a tremendous service department. They will bend over backwards backwards. They'll come pick you up, actually, and
That's
they'll
true.
help you
All
get
of that is true.
You'll get your vehicle service and never have to leave work or miss an appointment time. Joe Redmond does small handyman fixes around the house. He does landscaping, builds decks. That's kind of the specialty.
Does driveways,
all that stuff. So if you're looking for some handyman work, need some handyman work done around the house, but don't have the time to do it, call Joe Redmond, 270-668-2858 for all your handy person needs around the house. And then coming up next, our next sponsor is Terry Huber from the Lakeside Bar and Grill. They opened up the restaurant from Lakeside Bar and Grill, and you can go there after 5 o'clock. They have evening hours, and the gate is lifted, so you don't have to worry about security going through the pass.
And they're moving the gate. They had a board of directors meeting yesterday. They're moving the gate so that you don't even have to fool with that if you just want to go eat at the restaurant.
Isn't that something?
That's going to be amazing.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
So that means you don't even have to go through the gate to go take the... Yeah, okay.
Yeah, to go to the restaurant. I mean, it's probably going to take a little while for it to finalize, but they've made that decision.
Well, and they've had a lot of events there, but they also do catering. But Pollock's Appliance, for sponsoring this week's episode, they are your local hometown appliance service center and appliance dealer.
You know, every single appliance I have in my house came from Pollock's.
There, prosecution rest.
Yep.
270-668-8292. They service what they sell, and you can check out their lineup at www.pollocksappliance.com. And if you're looking for that new appliance this season, it's a great place to shop. So I got it. You don't want people to go buy a car without...
No, I want them to go buy cars.
You don't want the husband...
I want a new car.
Okay.
But and maybe I'm a minority here, although the initial excitement, I'd be like, oh, this is so great.
How much that
new
gonna
car
cost?
Smell and everything. But once that faded and I realized that I would have, a monthly payment on it, then I would probably be like, Eddie Lee Bohannon, we need to talk about this.
Yeah.
But I just don't think he'd do it. I think if you get a new car, there's been at least some discussion.
Conversation.
It should never totally.
So it's not a matter of if, it would be when, right?
Right.
There.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So
And then that would be different.
As long as the if was answered, the when, and you would be surprised, and it'd be fine. Okay.
Exactly. See.
Then go to Race Ford.
Absolutely go to Race Ford.
Talk to Chris. Talk to Ray.
Yeah.
Well, Chris or
Chris
Keith.
is my guy.
Yeah, Chris is good.
Yeah.
Well, in fact, that's how I got mine, as I told Chris, because we've been looking for so long, and he said we're supposed to get some in, and because ordering them it was an easy process, but you had to wait for like ever, and I just said, just call me when you have one in.
Well, he's been a dreamboat for the Doe Valley Day Camp. Because they have provided the transportation for the camp for the past 5 years. And
how many kids are in that every summer?
About 55.
Yeah.
About that. And then
they got to fly in a plane this summer too, didn't they?
They got to fly this year and last year they flew.
Wow.
And so John Swanson took them up and some of them got to fly the plane.
What?
Yeah, he turned some of them.
Well, I'm sure he was holding the controls. The FAA and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, all of that. Yeah. But Chris has been wonderful, and his two children are in the program as well. So he's been great about making sure that we have transportation and things like that. So, hey, do you? I have to ask you this because we've got this coming out. What about Christmas cards at the Lake household?
I'm so horrible at Christmas cards every year.
Yeah.
How
Your
about
intention?
You?
No, I'm really good at Christmas cards.
Did you get yours out? Because like the 18th of the month was like the National Ship Your Christmas Card Day.
Well, that's
out.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, today's the 17th. So tomorrow,
you got to get them out.
Got to get them out tomorrow if you want to get them there by Christmas. But
I have them on my dining room table. It is on my plan for tonight.
To get that done?
Late, after the kids are asleep.
No, we get it done. Now, we, because I send out so many cards, I probably send out 100, 150, somewhere around there.
Okay.
And but so instead of writing everything out on each card, Eddie and I just make this thing, and it's called like the Bohannon Top 10 or something like that. And we just
insert it.
Yeah,
that's what I. Yeah, so I would typically do the Lake household update, and it's just a letter.
The Lake effect.
The Lake effect. Man, you're on it. Yeah. So it'd be the Lake effect, and we would just send it out, and it would go to the family members and stuff like that. But I'm very good at trying to make sure that the kids do thank you cards after.
And it's okay to get a Happy New Year card.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So if you're running late, call it the Happy Holidays.
That's right.
And then it meshes. But if you're going to be on time and it's Christmas, then, you're good. But my big thing is also the thank you card. So if the uncles and aunts said something to the kids, because the kids only get like 3 from us. What do you need? right?
Yeah.
We'll do the one gift of what you want on your list,
Right.
and then what do you need, and then something for school.
Yeah.
And then plus, if there's other family members that are sending
they'll
them
get
something,
gifts.
yeah, they'll
Yeah.
get gifts. So, and then there's all these events like the school does something or this
And
does
you have to
something.
show up with a $10 or $15 gift. I know.
And then if you watch like the Netflix thing where we waste so much stuff, and
I know.
I
It's
just
terrible.
It is
it's
horrible.
definitely sobering. You said something about thank you cards. You know what's interesting? And I think it's because maybe it's the command sergeant major in you and in my dad, but in our household, it was my father that taught us how to write thank you cards.
Yeah.
He was the one that, like in our stockings, we'd get one of those little packages of 10 thank you cards, and there was an expectation that it would be done by like the 27th or so.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
I'm gonna steal that.
Yeah, go ahead, because we knew it was in there with all the other good fun stuff that was in our that was there, and usually a new pen. He would usually give us a new pen as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was just we just had to do it.
Yeah.
And so I came up writing thank you cards, and some of my friends, we've discussed it, and they're like, well, why should they have to? They shouldn't have to. Well, because you should. Are you ever wrong to say thank you? I mean, can that ever be a bad thing?
No, and taking the time to write a personal handwritten note
Yeah.
is a big deal. So now I know I said I'd do it typed up the Lake Effect memo, but
Right.
we'll still write like names and sign the
we
card
do
and
too.
all that
Yeah,
other
yeah,
stuff
yeah,
too.
yeah.
So,
We do too. We do all that too. And our thank you notes are always handwritten.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that this has really actually been a pretty good Christmas. Eddie and I are leaving on Friday to go to Texas. And we'll I know.
Texas run. Texas run.
So we'll be in Texas for 5 days. We're just going to, and I'm actually looking forward to it because most of the time we fly. Like 9
Road
times
trip.
out of 10, but we're doing a road trip. I like doing road trips with him.
You're going to Abilene, right?
Abilene.
So you got like 12 hours or 14 hours
Just
on
on the road time, but we always make it kind
Stop.
of an event. We're going to stop at a hotel and get a supper and rest and everything, get breakfast the next morning and go on.
Yeah.
That's part of our time. I kind of like being cocooned in the vehicle because not everybody can reach me. I'm not going to be doing this on my computer. He and I can talk. I can take a snooze or whatever. Now, he could drive all the way through without stopping. But I'm like, And then he's also pretty good if I go, oh, look, can we stop there? He's pretty good about circling back around and taking us back to look at that. So,
Yeah, that's good.
yeah.
We do. We take the camper van.
Well, I bet that's awesome.
It is fun because when you're gassing up, they can run in the bathroom in the back, or if they had to in the middle of the trip, the wife will get up and go back there and say, "Come on." And
Can you really do that? I didn't realize you could do that.
no, you're not supposed to, I'm sure, but
Yeah, but I mean, who wouldn't? I would if I
well,
had the opportunity.
I mean, they do wear their seatbelt and they're in their car seats for the 90% of the trips, but they've got their iPad or I can turn the TV on and they can watch a TV program all from the same TV.
So you guys are
screen.
bougie, is what you're saying.
It's bougie.
You guys,
Yeah, it is.
The Lake family is bougie when you.
It is
go-
bougie,
yeah.
but it also has a lot of room. So if in the event that we wanted to take a long rest stop, we could pop out the side, turn on the generator, and you've got a full comfort of home. On the trip. So
Oh yeah, I'd do that.
we've got, but when we take these road trips, they're long road trips. So you got to be able to take the time, especially with 3 littles, to stretch out and all that other stuff versus being cooped up in the car
For
for
sure.
that time.
You don't have to deal with it. He's touching me. He's touching me. No, you don't have to deal with that.
No,
You can-
and the adventure begins as soon as you turn on the key because you really feel like you're on an adventure,
Right.
Versus in a traditional
yeah.
car road trip. But
oh yeah, I think that would be super fun. So speaking of driving,
it's like the Robin Williams RV movie.
tell me. I don't know enough to comment. Tell me what you know about this Kentucky mandated vision thing that's coming up on January 1st of 2025. What do you know?
So effective 1 January, if you are renewing your license next year, it doesn't matter when, but even if you have to show up on the 1st of January because your license expires, you will be required to have a vision screening that's all drivers. So you can go get a vision screening at any of the KYTC driver's license regional offices when you go in to renew. My recommendation is that you book an appointment. You don't do the walk-in line because line length times will be a lot more now because of this requirement. KYTC credentialed medical specialist can also do the screening. So if your eye doctor is a credentialed screener, you can take your paperwork from,
so you
from
can get
your
it done
eye
from your doctor and take it with you.
as long as they are a KYTC credentialed medical specialist. And they can complete the form for the driver and give it when they renew their license. So it'd be like, you're going to your doctor, they give you the specific form, they sign it. Obviously, it's probably going to be a wet signature, or they update it in some type of digital transmission to the driver's license facility. Let's see, if you've had, some people say, well, I just had an eye exam in the last 12 months. Yep, well, that's great, but
get to do it again.
They would need their specialist to fill out the driver's vision testing form if they're licensed, and then if you want to be credentialed, the medical specialist can go to the transportation cabinet and they can get certified. I'm sure it's mainly about a credential, and then obviously meeting the specifics. What portion of the eye exam, because there's a lot of things to test when you do vision screening, but for the purposes of being able to physically drive, be alert, attentive, all of those things that can vary in your driving capabilities. And my guess is there was probably a lot of consideration to get after a lot of older drivers. So instead of just singling out older drivers, they probably
just said everybody.
Blanket everybody. And I don't see anything wrong with that, because there's a lot of people that go without vision tests and they're got long-sighted vision problems or nearsighted vision problems that certain distractors would come up and they wouldn't be able to see because of their vision and not having been a requirement. And this is nothing new to our neighbors, like Indiana, Ohio, I think West Virginia was on the list. I forget what are all the states, but Tennessee as well.
So Kentucky's is Kentucky a little late to the game on this?
Probably a little bit, even in your state of Texas.
Yeah, I think Texas was doing it already.
Always had to do a vision screening test. And it's not the little thing that you do that says, okay, is that red or green or read me line, blah, blah, blah. It might go a little bit further in depth just to determine, okay, you'll be more.
They may want to see if you're colorblind.
Yeah, well, they could. I honestly think that this will probably be good for Kentucky in the sense that, we have a very high insurance rate for Kentucky because of the being a Commonwealth state. But, the fact that we reduce our risks as Kentucky drivers by eliminating a certain pool of drivers because of their inability to meet the vision requirements, our corrective vision requirements for driving a vehicle, I think that might help in the long game. I would hope that these efforts improve, but that's just the bottom line. The law is passed. It's a law legislated, and, we just got to go in and be prepared. So don't show up at your driver's renewal saying, oh, I didn't know, because it's publicly been announced. If you think you might be affected by this, you can go to the cabinet, the driving, what the heck is it called? Transportation cabinet. You can go to the transportation cabinet, find out more information about this subject, and you can dig into, what you might need to be concerned about, or just talk to your vision specialist, find out if they're a certified member, if they plan on getting certified. In fact, I've got a vision appointment tomorrow in the morning, so I'll be asking them. Not that I renew anytime soon, but it's one of those things that you should ask.
Did you get your real ID the past year?
I did. Yeah. I've had the real ID now for I think about 3 years. I did that because of a lot of traveling I was doing in the military.
When I moved back to Kentucky, I had the real ID.
Did you?
Yeah.
I'm from Texas? Yeah.
So I moved here in 2019, and then I had to go over and get a Kentucky driver's license, and they weren't doing the real ID. Yeah. So they took my lovely little star and chopped it up, and then I got the Kentucky, and then a couple of years later, Kentucky's like, we're going to do the real ID too. So
we didn't have any choice because the federal, you wouldn't be able to travel without it, and stuff. I also have the TSA approved, which is nice. Now you can renew online. You don't have to go back in person for that too, as long as you're up to date and current. Pay your bill, but I think I'm ready for the new year too. It's hard to believe, like this time next week is Christmas Eve.
I know.
We're 1 week away.
I know.
We just had Meade County birthday, which is today, right? So today is Meade County birthday, and then a week later we get to celebrate Jesus.
That's right.
Right. So
best of both worlds.
I think it's amazing. So congratulations and happy birthday, Meade County today.
James Meade.
James Meade, yeah. Dear Addie.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I don't know if people realize that's where Dear Addie comes from.
Yeah, it's his significant other as he was settling the Brandenburg location. So Dear Addie is our advice
I don't think
column.
he ever legalized that union.
No, I think it would go back to what's a common law marriage?
Yeah, I think
Commonwealth
that's what they
state,
were.
common law. But anyway, I'm sure that our pastors locally would give some advice on that subject. But anyway.
Listen, speaking of Christmas Eve, we had a huge outpouring. So we reached out and we said, hey, if you're a church anywhere here in the community and you're having a Christmas Eve service, we don't care what the affiliation is, we don't care what you're doing, let us know and we will run it in the paper. We had so many people reach back out and say, I'm doing this time. But you know what they don't do anymore at all?
What's that?
Midnight.
Mass? Oh, well, they do. St. Teresa.
No.
No?
St.
I'm going to look at.
No, I'm looking it up right now. No, not one of them did a midnight one. I think the latest one that we had was 9 o'clock.
And don't they have it on Christmas? A midnight mass?
No. But the first Christmas I went to here was in 2019, Christmas of 2019. We went over to the United Methodist Church, and they started at 11 p.m. and it ended at midnight. And it was kind of a thing. But I think after COVID came, that it just kind of washed out after that. And I actually did ask one of the pastors who'd called in and told me his Christmas Eve service. And I said, why do you think that is? And he's like, I just think it's the changing of the time. He said, I think, young parents want their children to experience this, but then afterwards they want to get home and they want to do other family stuff. They want to do cookies or whatever. They don't want to get home at midnight. And when I was younger, I thought that was part of the magic. I loved it. I loved going to church at 11 o'clock at night, especially if it was on like a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, a night when normally you wouldn't be in church. Yeah. And then the candles and all that stuff, and then walking outside afterwards, it always made me feel like, oh, this is it. Christmas has arrived.
I don't disagree. Coming up in a Catholic household as well, I did kind of look forward to that. The churches that I had attended, they also had a lot of the live nativities. I know last year, I don't know if they did it this year, but Buck Grove Baptist did a live nativity. It was so awesome. Yeah, my kids absolutely loved it. And then, we just had one down at West Point and stuff. But I guess it is a different time. And we can see that a lot. We've actually covered some news where churches are impacted by current views versus biblical views, and it's just I think how do you find the balance and keep your congregation herd your sheep, right? Right. So I think pastors are doing their absolute best to accommodate.
I think it's tough to be a pastor these days. I mean, because especially a pastor who's devoted to sticking clearly to the traditional word.
That's right.
They're devoted to that. But then you've got people, you've got to get them in the door. And they want to be entertained. They want music. They want a great kids program. They want lots of fellowship and outreach. And so it's a tough time.
I think that's what you should look for. I think you should look for, the fellowship that you want, but, the meeting together is an important part of church, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think you should get away from the biblical value that God intended us, or twist it to fit a narrative. So I think that's the difference, right? I was having a good conversation with somebody the other day. I said, it's not that I'm a Republican or that I'm against Democrats. It's just that they're more aligned with my Christian values.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I think that if you can stand on that precipice, there's a reason why I think our Constitution says, "In God we trust." So, but it's challenging. I agree, but I do love that our community is very surrounded by the passion of Christ.
Right.
So, and that makes me feel very good.
Yeah, I bet there's 20 or 30 Christmas Eve services next week, at least. Yeah. And some churches are doing them multiple times in the same day, like at 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock. 6 o'clock.
So check our community calendar. It's going to be in this week, and we got a lot of those highlighted so you can participate and even go with friends and know what their schedules are like to some of the other churches. I always invite people to come to our church all the time, even though they go to other churches, just because we're doing something special.
And the Catholics and the Episcopalians are meeting on Christmas Day as well.
Yeah.
So
okay. I like
that's
it.
great. Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm all about it. Thumbs up.
I will tell you, have you seen on Netflix the movie Mary?
No.
It's really good.
No, I want to.
I thought it was really good. It's about Mary and the conception of Christ from God.
Right.
And
I've seen the previews.
and the carrying of Jesus through the persecution that she took and why they fled and ended up to Bethlehem and then all the three wise men and how it profusely made King Herod extremely mad and all this other stuff. So it was a very well done project. Of course, now it leads you to go, well, I wonder what it was like for Jesus growing up and seeing, little baby Jesus turn into teenager Jesus, and then, but
he wasn't very mouthy to his mama.
No, he wasn't.
No.
No, it's very cool. But it was a very good movie. I encourage you as a family to sit and watch it this week while you got some time off. Kids are out of school coming up, I think, is it this Friday? Yeah,
Friday.
So mine are out after today.
Oh, today is their last day.
Yeah, I guess there's a benefit to private school after
I
all.
reckon.
I kind of wish they were in school all week, but hey.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's all right.
What was I know you had one more on your list. What was it?
Let me look at my. Oh yeah. So one of our writers, Jessica Markham, she wrote a very thought-provoking. Because as I was editing it and reading it, I thought, have I done all this? And the title of it is called "What If." And so she shared with me when she was talking to me about it before she started, before she actually wrote it. She said she had two people that she was very close to. One of them had a sudden death in their family, and the other one had a sudden catastrophic illness. And neither one of them were prepared. So what if this were to happen? And so she wrote this story based on, think about it. Think of the worst case scenario. What if my spouse died? What if I got hurt so badly I couldn't work? What if there was an act of God and my house was just destroyed, in a tornado or a hurricane or whatever? Do I have all that? She said this isn't meant to frighten anybody or make anybody go into fear, but just common sense stuff. She said you'd be shocked at the amount of people who are married and have children. They do not have life insurance at all. There are people who live in rental properties and they don't have renter's insurance because they think, well, the landlord would have. No, not necessarily. He would have to fix the house.
Yeah.
But if you've lost all your clothes or furniture because of it, that's on you. He doesn't have to provide that for you. Or, just different things like that. So she said, I wanted this published at the end of the year just so that because it seems like the last week or two of every year, we kind of take stock.
Yeah.
And we think, what do we need to do? How can we make next year be better and safer for us?
Yeah.
And so kind of that, just reasonable, just have some idea.
I'm glad you said that because I'm actually sitting down with John Bevan over at and Tessa over at Farm Bureau Insurance, and we're going through all of my stuff now and just taking a deep dive. And then where are some risks that I'm taking that I should reconsider?
Right.
Not just from a life insurance perspective, but with business and everything else. But I've got a lot of responsibilities now, and having a good relationship with the person that you work with or the company that you work with is equally as important as the policy that you hold. And I know we've done a lot of stuff for some local lawyers and some lawyers that are out of the Elizabethtown area, but estate planning is another huge, significant burden that you could be passing on to your children. A tax burden, by the way, if you don't have a trust built or have a living will or something.
Yeah, that living will matters.
Yeah, so there is I'm looking forward to this story just for the simple fact I think we try to emotionally connect with our audience every time we write a story because otherwise, the people only want the 8-second soundbite. What's in it for me?
Yeah,
right?
but that's not what we are.
No, I know. And so I'm encouraged by the writers that we have because of that they linger you into the next sentence.
Right, exactly.
So looking forward to this one.
Yep. So in this past issue that we had, not the one that's coming out this week, but this last one, because you just reminded me of this. So I wrote a story, and it's called "A Single Wide Trailer Christmas," and it's actually about the year that my dad separated from the Army. So he retired out of Fort Hood, Texas, but we have a home place, like a family farm down in Beaver Dam.
Okay.
And so he got this old a single wide trailer, and he moved it down there to live on while he was building the house. The old farmhouse we'd had there had burned in like 20 or 30 years prior to that, and so he was all about redoing it. And I spent a Christmas with him in that single wide trailer, and I thought, my life is over. Here I am. I was 11 years old, and I thought this is going to be the worst Christmas ever, and it wasn't. It actually ended up being an amazing Christmas. You guys should read that story because it was really fun.
So he made you the princess of the single wide trailer?
No,
it's a different.
no. But he taught me a lot of life lessons.
It's good.
Yeah. So
I was joking from that old song.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know. So that's
because it was a different relationship. You weren't it was a niece uncle situation.
Yeah.
So.
No. I was his daughter. But he taught me a couple of things. Then I still carry. One of the things I will say. One of the things we did was. We were looking for a way to decorate the tree, and I found an old bird nest and stuck in the tree. So to this day, every single year, I put a bird nest in my Christmas tree, and it's a throwback to that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's time to actually close us out. I think we're going to have to bring us back up with the Earlene and Steve show, but a real quick shout out, Raise Ford. Once again, thank you for being a sponsor. If you're looking for an automobile this year, it's the end of the season and you're looking to trade it in, this is the time to do it. Go see Raise Ford for your Ford, Jeep, Dodge needs. They've got a great lineup there, and if you talk to my friend Keith there, he'll get you squared away. Does a great walkthrough on the vehicle, and their service department does a phenomenal phenomenal job.
Really do.
They'll come pick you up, and you can keep your service maintained. Joe Redman is your local handyman. He does landscaping. He does decks. They do local projects on your home that you need to get done. And if you're looking for that and don't have the time, Joe's your guy. Call him at 270-668-2858 for all your landscaping needs. He's got, a little something up his sleeve every time he does a new project, and he's good at getting it done.
Yep.
And you'll be pleased with the project once it has completed. Our next sponsor up is Terry Woobry with Doe Valley Lakeside Bar and Grill. They are sponsors for this week's episode. They have dinner and Saturday specials and sometimes a Sunday breakfast every once in a while. You can check them out on their website at the Lakeside Bar and Grill or Facebook for all those instant updates. But for a regular routine, you can stop by after 5 o'clock and have dinner at the Lakeside Bar and Grill. You can call 270-422-3981 for any catering needs. They also provide those services. And we'd also send a shout out to Pollock's Appliance for your support in the newspaper and for being this week's sponsor. If you're looking for an appliance, you don't need to drive to Elizabethtown or Louisville.
No.
You can go right here in Brandenburg in Meade County. Happy birthday, Meade County. Because it's businesses like Pollock's Appliance that keeps the hometown local. Call 270-668-8292 where they service what they sell. And you can also check out their website at pollocksappliance.com. Earlene, that's another great show. Super glad to be here with you. Final thoughts as we close out.
My final thoughts are, take every moment, enjoy it. I know that it's hectic. I know that if you're a parent, you are overwhelmed. I know that if you're in retail, oh my gosh, I don't even want to know about that. But take all the moments of the next week and just try to see the excitement in it. I read something yesterday, and it said Christmas shouldn't be all sleek and tidy. It should look like joy threw up all over the place. And so let your
joy... Elf on a Shelf.
Yeah, exactly. Let your joy show. Receive other people's joy. Slow down. Take a deep breath. When you feel yourself getting frustrated, drink a cup of hot cocoa.
I love it.
Yep.
Great advice. You have a safe trip, and we look forward to having you back. Everybody have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
And thanks for tuning in to the Earlene and Steve Show.
Absolutely.